We've been talking about parenting. Uh, I don't think the Hebrew writer intended for this to be a treatise on how to be a great parent. I, there's so much in here that applies to the effort that every parent, well, every sane parent would want to. They, what parent doesn't want their kids to grow up well and turn out great? Sick parents might not, but healthy, well balanced, sane parents do. All, and that's us. Okay, well, to one degree or another. In verse 9, we looked at this a little bit last time. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. I want to push the button one more time on this. When a father disciplines their child, and this would be for a mother as well, when we do that well, so that discipline and punishment are not the same thing, our children grow up to respect us. Early on, because of the fear of punishment, a child can't separate I'm afraid of the punishment from I'm afraid of my parent. You can't, that's not possible for them until their little brains have developed to the point that they can cognitively make that separation. And that's not when they're young. What they can understand is Daddy and Mommy love me, and sometimes they spank me. Or if you're not a spanker, or whatever else you did, because the point of punishment is only to get the child's attention so that discipline can take place. I see God doing this often. I was going to say all the time, but it's not quite all the time, but it's very often. Okay. And then he goes on, how much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? There's more than one thing here. One is the word submit. You can make it, I mean, it can be very deep or very complicated and complex, but it just basically comes down to give in. Give in to the Father of spirits. It's like, here's the thing. In this, what we hope it would be normal, but is often the ideal family, when the father disciplines us or the mother disciplines us, they do it in such a way that we have grown to be able to respect them for their discipline rather than resenting them for their punishments. And in that ideal situation, lots of good comes out of that. But then he says, so how much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? So give in. Give in to God's discipline. Here's one of the things about discipline that I've learned over time. When I give in to the discipline, I can more quickly, I won't say easily, but more quickly learn the lessons from it. If I resist and resent the discipline, there is a chance I won't learn at all from it. So give in to the discipline, he says, and not just your father and mother, but the Father of spirits, meaning God is the Father of every living human being, every human being that has or had a spirit. That's a big deal. And then submit to the Father of spirits and live. Wasn't that Jesus said, this is in John 10:10, one of the few verses I've memorized. The thief, and he's talking about Satan there, comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come to give them life. Depending on what translation you use, life abundant, life to the fullest, life, real life. So when we submit to the Father of spirits, we can then reap the benefit of why Jesus said he came. Life, real life, abundant life, life as he had designed it. A lot of us live outside of that design, and things don't go well when we do that. And I mean, I don't have an answer for everything, but I think I know why life doesn't go well when I live outside of God's design. Two reasons. One, that's not how it was supposed to work. You get, if it's going to work, the way it's going to work best is when it works according to the design. And the second reason is to get us to wake up and come back to the design. We may have to seek it. We may have to put in the effort to discover it. But we have so much going for us on that. At the top of the list is God's grace in the form of his very own Spirit, the Holy Spirit, living in us. It is, though, sometimes hard to give in to submit to the Father of spirits. In verse 10, they, our parents, disciplined us for a little while as they thought best. That's a hard concept to get. If you have been in a family where the punishment outweighed the discipline, it's hard to bear in mind your parents did what they knew to do and the best they knew. Okay, I'm not saying your parents were without blame in this. They were just doing what they knew. I'm not saying that, but I am saying they did the best they could. I do know parents who didn't do the best they could because they were mentally ill or they had decided they were going to live for themselves. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why parents parent poorly. One is they don't know any better. So maybe there's a chance. Maybe somebody needs to forgive their parents for not knowing any better and not doing any better. Okay. No discipline. Okay. They disciplined us for a little while as they thought best. This is a man, there's much to this. When he said they disciplined us for a little while, if you discipline well, the most intensive period of discipline is for that little period of time they're in their childhood under your roof, under your authority, and then they go on to live their own lives as adults. But in that period of time, we get to discipline, we get to train them, we get to help them discover God's design. And then they can live within it and find out for themselves that it works. Okay, keep going. They disciplined us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness. That's his objective. God's discipline isn't just so that you live a happy life. There is this wonderful possibility that we will live a happy life, but that is not his objective. It's a secondary or tertiary outcome of his primary goal, that we may share in his holiness. I am so far from that. And it feels like I live in elliptical circles. Well, they're not circles, but elliptical movement. Close to God and then not close to God, and then come back to God, and close to God and then not close to God. Part of growing into a mature follower of Jesus is shortening the loop. Okay, verse 11. This is a goodie. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Well, yeah, okay. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Ooh, there are layers there. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. So the point here is God is less interested in me having a pleasant experience than he is interested in me sharing in his holiness. And the way this happens is by discipline. Later on, however, see, that's one of the things about discipline. I see its benefits in hindsight. Its benefits don't happen while I'm being disciplined. They happen as a result of being disciplined. Later on, he says, they produce a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who've been trained by it. Okay. Righteousness and peace. Righteousness is not a hard word. It just means rightness. It means living right. Peace, let me tell you, if you're going to live right, there's going to be times when you're not going to be at peace with the world around you, and sometimes with the people around you. That's not the peace he's talking about. He's talking about peace with God. When I live righteously, I experience peace with God. But I don't live righteously because I pulled myself up from my bootstraps. This righteousness is a result of his grace that taught me how to live rightly. And then he says, for those who have been trained by it, it's a training operation. One of the points of training is repetition. Talk to any really good athlete, whatever their sport, and they'll tell you they do stuff over and over and over and over and over, and then they do it some more over. Training is repetition. So let's not get all bent out of shape when God keeps on disciplining us, because it's about training. Training is about repetition. Okay, that's enough. See you next time on So Care with Stevie Boy.